What is happening, everybody? Here we are on Tuesday. Didn't get to do a podcast today with Josh. Hopefully, we're going to do that live tomorrow. So keep an eye out if you want to watch us do a live podcast. Maybe you can join in and make some commentary as we are doing it. And today, I want to talk about a little bit about patient handoff. I actually just added a presentation in the members area at TurboMedic. If you want to be a free member there, you can by going to myturbomedic.com. But the presentation that I posted really went into a nice detail about doing the patient handoff and how important it is for us as providers to do it effectively, how the communication between us and doctors and nurses really does matter, giving radio reports, things like that. But what I want to talk about today, and guys, hit a like if you like these live videos. Post a comment here so I can know you guys are engaged with me. Um, it really does help keep this in the feed a little bit longer when you do that. Believe it or not, you know how the Facebooks are. So I wanted to just kind of talk about 5 tips about the patient handoff versus the radio report. A lot of times people will go ahead and they think that when they give the patient the handoff, being giving it when you bring the patient, if you don't know, that's when you get to the ER and you give the patient from you and your stretcher to their stretcher and give a report in the ED versus the radio report, which is what you're giving en route to the emergency department, right? So they're a little bit different. They're similar in many respects as far as what you've done, of course, and your vital signs, stuff like that. But your communication is a little bit different. So don't make the radio report the handoff verbatim to what you said on the radio. Okay. I'm gonna give you 5 quick little tips here on this. And the biggest one, I think, for me is introducing the nurse to the patient or the patient to the nurse, right? So, or even the doctor for that matter. So when you get into the ER and you get to the room, right? Use the nurse's name and use the patient's name, right? This way, now you've already introduced them. They're kind of knowing each other a little bit. Keep in mind, they're going to be spending the next couple of hours, probably more like 4 or 5 hours, right? Depending upon what's going on, together in this emergency department. So when they know each other's name, there's a certain amount of comfort that automatically goes into that as well. Okay, and there's a certain amount of familiarity that actually ends up happening. Okay, and this is what is a good idea to go ahead and do. All right, now the second thing that you want to do, guys, is to go ahead and um, sort of repeat the highlights, if you will, of what you said on the radio. So you're going to give kind of the highlights, where the patient's from, the whether they're from a nursing facility, from their house, from the street someplace. All right, because now you're transferring that care to another person. All right, and you're taking the patient from one place to another. So repeat the key things that you did for the patient, key complaints, what the results might be, things like that. And speaking of results, that's sort of the third tip. Update any changes. Now, not necessarily changes throughout your patient contact, but you want to talk about patient or either negative or positive in the patient status since you gave that radio report, right? So if there's no change in the patient and nothing went on, then you can say there's been no change since I called you guys on the radio. But if the patient got better, maybe became complaint free, or maybe something went wrong, or one of the vital signs, went a little bit, blood pressure went a little higher, a little bit lower, the heart rate went higher, went lower, express that at the hospital. And that's number four, is your vital signs. Now, this is something where you can get, I like to talk about building your cache. And I mean like CACHE, cache. Because this stuff goes a long way when we talk about stuff we do in EMS with our partners, doctors, nurses, all that. Okay. I was a nurses. What the hell's a nurses? Nurses, doctors, and our partners, right? So, vital signs. Give them the most recent set of vitals. I'm sure by the time you get to the hospital, you've taken another set since you ended the radio report, right? So, give them the additional set of vital signs. All right. And here's the thing, a lot of times you might find yourself waiting in the room for for the nurse to come or the doctor to come. Or you might find yourself waiting to get triaged. You want to build some cash up, guys. Take another set of vital signs while you're waiting, especially if you're there more than, let's say, 10 minutes. Because now, vital signs can change, right? You'll be taking them every 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the back of an ambulance, or since when you have patient contact, so why not take them again when you get to the ER? So if you're standing there in the room waiting for the nurse or the doctor to come in to do the handoff, or you're waiting for triage for longer than 10 minutes or so, take another set of vital signs. All right. I'm telling you, you will be remembered, okay, as the EMS professional, the one that went a little bit ahead, especially if you remind the nurse or the doc and say, yeah, I did another set of vitals while I was waiting for you to come in the room, or I did another set of vitals while I was waiting for triage. That stuff goes a long way, guys. All right, trust me. Trust me when I tell you, because then when you want to get a point across to a nurse or to a doctor, if you're the one that went a little bit of an extra mile, and that extra set of vitals will be counted as that, you'll be able to go ahead and cash in that goodwill that you have. Now, the last thing, I know a lot of people kind of hesitate with this because it does open you up for issues, but is to ask questions. Just ask the nurse. Again, use her name, whatever it is, Diane, Harry, Charles, whatever it is. Ask them, do you have any other questions about the patient? And again, use the patient's name. So the patient's name is Jim or Mary. Say, do you have any other questions about Jim? Because when you do this, and I'm saying do this while you're, making the stretcher or getting them onto their bed, before you even start moving patients around or making beds and stuff like that, ask the nurse if they have any other questions about the patient. And again, use the nurse's name and use the patient's name. All right. And this way, you're going to really impress, and again, building that cash up with the nurse or the doctor. And also, the patient's going to remember it too, right? Because now the patient's not just sitting there like a body on a cot and you're rambling off all this stuff and they have no idea half the time what you're even saying about drugs or IVs or dosages or, all kinds of acronyms you might be throwing around, right? So when you ask the nurse if they have any more questions, just in case maybe you forgot something, maybe there's something that you didn't express or something that they need to know based on your presentation that would be helpful. All right. Because I think the patient and the nurse are both going to be appreciative because you kind of have that focus at that time on them, right? You're not rushing through it. You're not the one that is got one foot out the door the second you got into the room. All right. So I hope this makes sense, guys. Chad, I saw your note that your instructor's using a lot of my stuff here for help with the interview review. So I really appreciate your instructor doing that. I'm glad these videos are helping, and the content at Turbomedic on the main website is helping. Guys, if you like this stuff, I my goal right now, just between you and everybody else on Facebooks, okay, is I am trying to build the biggest community I can at Turbomedic. And it could be the premium membership, which I want to grow that, but I also want to grow the insider membership, which is free. So if you want to be a part of that, do me a favor, head on over to myturbomedic.com and join me as a free member. You'll get a bunch of content there that I think will help you and hopefully motivate you to go even further and become a premium member there as well. When you become a premium member, get a bunch of bonuses. So keep that in mind. All right, so guys, I'm going to end it there. Thanks so much for joining me. Do me a favor real quick before you leave. If you're watching this, even watching the recording, hit that like button or the heart button. Leave a comment on Facebook. It really does help these live episodes and gets them up into the feed. Chad, thanks so much for leaving me some comments, and thanks to those guys out there who've already left some likes. I really appreciate it. Hopefully tomorrow we will have the podcast. Be sure to keep an eye out on the Facebook pages and groups, because I am going to be going live hopefully tomorrow around 12:30 or so. A little bit longer than that, because Josh takes a while to get all his stuff together on the show. But we will go ahead and do a live podcast tomorrow, again 12:30, and we talk about all kinds of stuff EMS related. You can join in, even join us live if you want. I can send you an invite link. You can join us live and be on video with us, or you can just put it up in the chat as well, and we'll again discuss whatever it is you want to talk about on the show as well. Chad, I do. Can you do one on the NRDB online testing? I can't do it, Chad. I don't have time right now, brother, to do it, because I got a million. Just look behind me here. You see, I got all kinds of Christmas crap I'm trying to get rid of, and I have my fiance on the way home, so I don't have time right now to do one on the NREMT online testing. So I guess you want to talk about how they're online and doing that. But of course, if you are inside Turbomedic, there's a whole EMS success course there, and I go deep into the National Registry as well as online testing and online practice and all that good stuff too. So go check that out if you are a premium member at Turbomedic. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna end it there. Already going about 14 minutes, about 4 minutes longer than I like to go. But let's end it there, because we did get some engagement, and I really appreciate that, guys. Again, hit that like button. Until next time, guys, as always, I'm Jim Hoffman from turbomedic.com. Stay safe.